Standing low.
Oh, that was funny, yeah.
I didn't realize that's like the Richard Bellman.
Uh-huh.
The best part is that he plays the president. And
God,
I mean, and then he tells
those
you
movies like don't have any, none of the stars. It just says funeral home, rated R. That's it.
I play rhythm guitar and harmonica.
I play the drums.
I play lead guitar in a band.
I'm the singer.
I play the bass guitar, just like Paul.
Think about life.
Okay, here we go.
Come on and get it, boys. Curiosity.
I hope I remember this stuff.
Me too.
And we're gonna have to stop this to remember chords. Let's just keep going. We'll go back. You know,
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't really think of myself as a musician until I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, you know, and then I think along with about 5 million other kids, I was going, wait a minute.
The first band I put together was for my 6th grade talent. It was a 6th grade talent show.
I wanted to be like Mick Jagger, so in high school I was in a band called Sugar Blues.
Then when I was a junior in high school, I put together a band that stayed together for about 3 years, and we played the clubs in the area and all the high school after game dances.
Like when I met Ron in high school, I taught him how to play guitar. He played harmonica and fronted a band called Captain Billy's Whiz Bang.
Lulu and I ran away together. She was 16 and I was 18.
We started out with, you know, garage bands, rock bands.
And then continued on in a bunch of other bands. I played in a lot of different types of group. I played in the Tower of Power sort of band that like 5 horns and funk, and you know, lead singer. I played in a LA country sort of band.
just in bar bands, I played a lot of guitar and sang and did the cover tunes and the 7 nights a week and singing every new song that came out. You had to learn because the other band learned it first or some other band on the street.
The Beatles were the dawn of the family unit playing music or something. You know, it was a group. And so right from the beginning, before I could even play the drums, I was in a band, you know. And I've been in a band ever since.
The Sgt. Pepper album, you know, I noticed at the time, and I, in retrospect, realized it became very fashionable among all kinds of people who would normally have been enthusiasts of an earlier pop music era to accept the Beatles. The Beatles were okay, you know. It was kind of like George Gershwin and jazz in the 20s.
It used to be that the rock and rollers were the young, rebellious people. Now it's more a lifestyle that pervades all age groups and income stratas. There are those that rock and those that don't.
Try that one. Okay, good. Okay, then we're moving on to the 5th string root here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, then we have the riff coming up here. It's hard to typify who my students are in some ways because they range from the ages of 10 to one student who's 38 years old. And the common denominator is that they all love rock music.
I think rock and roll really has changed from its early days when it was something that was dangerous and a little bit, you know, not even a little bit risque. It was like basically the road to hell.
It just is blended in because the people that were listening to it 20 years ago, they're now all business people.
I think definitely the thing that's happened is that it has been bought and sold by Madison Avenue, you know. I mean, it's okay, there's millions and billions of dollars to be made, so let's get in there, guys, you know. The kids like it, let's just do it.
In a way, the music business, in some senses, has become mainstream enough that, you know, that people that were saying, you know, why don't you become a doctor, you know, if you become a rock and roll star, it's probably not that bad. It's right up there, I suppose.
5 out of 8 kids want to be musicians.
I think the American ethic, if you were commercially successful and you make a lot of money at it, you're accepted.
Daddy says that you're too young. Mama says it too. Well, I say take love when it comes. That's what you can do. They think they're giving you all that you need. But if they only knew what you get from me.
every day. It's usually centered around the band somehow or another. There's always stuff to be done.
Like I pretty much get involved with a lot of the demo stuff and the tape stuff.
What I do is I handle promotion and mail outs, and I'm also the band treasurer, which is a whole lot of fun. You know, I juggle who gets paid and when, and you know what lawyer we can hold off, and what lawyer has to be paid this week.
And Ronnie, he is I guess he's like the leader type of, the center figure of the band.
So I spent a lot of time on the phone. People call up offering the band different things, and you got to sort through all of that. And coordinating rehearsals and gigs.
I'm the focus of the band. A lot of times I'll do things without the band always there, photographs or, you know, promotion, interviews.
And Lulu, she cuts a lot of the band's hair and colors it, and she gets paid tons of money for that, just more than she could ever get from regular people, because we appreciate the job that she does.
We choose to not to take wages and to put the money back into what we're doing. Then you end up with very little time and a lot of money you've got to make during that little bit of time to survive.
You have to do odd jobs and do things that don't really fit your schedule, and you can't really get anything steady because things just happen. You have to be at certain places at certain times to play engagements or to travel.
Monday, I work as a waiter.
If you do something that's too mentally demanding or academically demanding, that kind of takes away from your mental energy for, you know, writing songs.
Wednesday day, I work as a waiter in the day.
I used to work for a lawyer for a while, and I used to do house painting and stuff like that.
Friday day, I work as a waiter, and usually Friday night we play, Saturday night we play.
If you're really serious about doing an original band, there's really no way you can make enough money without having an outside job or some other form of income or some, you know, patron of the arts. I just don't know any other way around it.
Baby, I get lovesick all the time. Lovesick all the time. Lovesick all the time. Baby, I get lovesick all the time.
I really live in my own little world, and my friends are the band. You know, my associates are my friends, and I don't do much else unless it's related to my music.
Your personal relationships center around the band. It's as simple as that.
I am married to my music. That comes first.
And maybe it's the same syndrome that an aspiring business person goes through, you know, like they just don't have time for a relationship. And I feel that that's definitely what's happened with me, you know, like I've seen a lot of things break up.
I'm sort of unique. Lulu and I are unique in that, you know, we've been, well, we're still married technically. We're separated right now. We've been separated for the last year and a half. And playing in a band with your wife or your loved one or whatever is difficult.
It is better in a lot of ways just to be on your own, go to the gigs, do your job, write your songs at home, stay up all hours if that's what you want to do, and not be responsible to anyone.
It's a sad thing to me. The band, you know, really had a lot to do with us breaking up. There's just no denying that, and it's a drag.
Time has changed my feelings about me, but it don't bother me
there's many ways to go. There's no rules on how to become successful in rock and roll. And every time you read an interview with a successful rock and roller, there's a different story involved.
These days, none of them are the least bit innocent about it. They know very well that there isn't any easy way and that you can't be sure of any of it. They used to always phone and say, who can I contact? We need a manager. Or who shall I send our tape to in Los Angeles? There's no more of that. These people understand.
So you have to have a plan and have steps that you intend to take.
Step number one is get a lot of good material and practice it a lot with your band or your cohorts.
We have rehearsals where we put songs together. And we also have vocal rehearsals where we just work on the vocal harmonies because they take time. We also have rehearsals where we put sets together.
And then you have to just get out and play and get your name known.
When a group starts out, it's real tough because they go through the audition process generally now.
You have to get on the phone yourself and call the club up, and they say, you know, basically, who the hell are you? And a lot of times they'll ask you to send them a tape first. So before a band does anything, they have to make a demo.
I try to have a couple of other people on the staff listen to them, or maybe a DJ at one of the college stations or such, and say, look, what do you think? Where would this fit? Who do you think might be a good bill to put them on? Have you heard of them?
So anyway, it's audition nights. You start like on the off nights, like a Monday night or a Tuesday night, and you get no pay, and slowly but surely, maybe if your friends came in and the club owners liked you, then maybe you get another shot another time. It's real tough, real tough.
While they're doing this, they have to do it in the hope that they're going to move on to something bigger. Or I don't think they would put themselves through the tremendous drain on their personality, their psyche, of constantly being rejected, because it's awfully cold when you have 10 people in the audience and you know that you're not going to get any money. In fact, that it's going to cost you $200.
We used to do it ourselves. We used to move our own equipment and book our own gigs. Well, those two people pick up the equipment wherever it is. Sometimes it's at my house, sometimes it's at the rehearsal studio. And they pick it up and arrive at wherever the gig is about an hour to an hour and a half before and set it all up.
Check, 1, 2, check. Or over there. Well, I don't know, it's not too shabby. 1, 2.
The band arrives an hour and a half later, and we test the sound. Check it out, make sure that the monitors are working. Depending on how many bands are playing that night, there's a certain order. You know, you have your little pecking order as to who sound checks when, based on your position on the bill.
The PA for the house, what the audience hears has to be tuned. You have to get tones for the drums and the guitars and the vocals.
I'll go and walk around on the stage, feel the stage, kind of get used to where the equipment's set up.
It's a getting acquainted session. Getting acquainted with your club.
You have my number.
You got number, baby.
When things are going well, lighthearted banter, I guess, would be a way to describe it. I mean, you can usually tell if it's going to be a good show by being in the dressing room a half an hour before.
Some gigs you're a little nervous about. I think maybe that nervousness is exorcised by the joking around and stuff. Generally, it's a great feeling. I mean, when we play one of the clubs that we play out a lot and we have our own crowd in there and they're yelling for us and stuff, it just really makes you feel special. It makes you feel great.
I guess that's it, you know, artistic expression or some shit.
Get out there with a guitar where you can turn it up and you can really scorch people's ears, you know, with that sound, you know, and the classic remark, you know, with this box I can turn it on, I can play Yankee Stadium, you know. Boy, the power that gives you.
And when we play well, it's like a vicious circle, because you're getting pumped up from your own music, and you're playing better or with more feeling, and then as you hear the band working together, it's pumping you up more, and the audience is, you know, so by the end of the show, you're just reeling.
It doesn't happen every time, but it's so great when it does happen that you're willing to go through all this, you know, shit all the time to try to make it happen, you know. It's worth it.
Well, I don't know. Do you want me to do you want me to
That's the one that's on my bass drum for the last set.
Oh yeah, no, what
Usually the band goes back and tries to be by themselves as a band for about 10 minutes, something like that.
Anyone feels good expressing themselves, so you feel even high after a mediocre performance.
I'll tell you one thing, you usually have to do something for a few hours, because it's impossible to leave the gig, come home, and go to bed. That is absolutely impossible, because there's so much adrenaline left over from it that you just can't do that.
You get tired, but it feels good. You have that, you know, it's like an addiction, you know, and then you don't have to go through withdrawal. At least it doesn't last as long.
I think it's a lot more technologically oriented than people seem to give it credit for.
It's really fancy now, and the jazz world is into that too. Sure, you've got to be a technical whiz, and I think probably that's essential.
I'm real into looking at drum catalogs and seeing the new stuff that's out, you know, both traditional acoustic drums and, you know, synthesized percussion and all the new stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff happening now that you can't help but be fascinated.
So it could take you as much time, if not longer, as learning the song musically, just to learn how to use the effects.
Advances in technology, another way of being able to express yourself. That the end is being to express yourself in a, you know, in a cool way.
Depending upon how individually that musician uses that sound or that effect or that guitar, that could be enough to distinguish him from 5 million other bands that could put him over the top. You have to be aware of what's going on while it's happening, so that
you can decide when you've had enough of one level, or you've had it with the band, or it's time to move on to the next step. You have to be aware of your stagnant points and when you're being productive.
The little clubs, right? They can play there, but that's a terrible rut. You can be part of that little club scene, never make any money, be involved in really seamy nightlife activity quite a lot.
As far as we can go on this level, in this scene, we've gone. We've hit the top. You know, we're big fish in a small pond.
I mean, I love our fans and everything, and they've been real loyal, but you do get tired of playing in clubs only, and, you know, recording is that's it. That's the goal.
In the business now, it's important to have the vinyl out.
You know, without that, you basically stay a local band, no matter how popular you are.
We've been knocking on the door of the record companies for a long time trying to get a deal.
The days where the agent comes and just hears you at a gig and says, I'm going to make you a star, I mean, that's just Hollywood, you know. I don't know of any situation where that's really happened.
There's not one stock line. It isn't like, don't call us, we'll call you. Some people say, we love the band, you're great, but there's something missing and I can't figure it out. Keep sending me tapes.
It is a business. It's a serious business, and it's not a you know, a business that's real full of magic when you look at it closely.
And you find yourself trying to second guess them and figure out their motivations, and it all becomes just so much crap. You know, in the end, you just have to go back to what you do and just try to do it well.
I have no grudge or bitterness, but you know, we haven't been signed to a major deal. We've had interest and we've had offers, and we've just through timing and through situations haven't ended up with anything yet.
After 3 years, it's a struggle, you know.
He was very generous with that. Didn't really want to do it.
Hey, feel those little tongues down.
No, I just dropped it.
I need that bracket back though today.
You do, really?
Yeah, you can have it.
I wanted to know if he was going to sell it.
Rock and roll, however, is very like the fighter in the old days, or the young man caught in the ghetto, working his way out through becoming a prize fighter, or a great football player or boxer.
There is a vast opportunity for anyone to make it in the business, regardless of, you know, their financial or social structure. What they really have to have is drive.
I think that rock and roll, yes, it is a young person's way out of being part of the gray mass.
Yeah, there is a lot of the success ethic, you know, the Puritan ethic, hard work will get me what I want and that I will be successful. And the reality is that aren't always that way, and so that's the rub, you know, that's what you have to be, you know, working at accepting.
A very small percentage of bands become successful.
You know, maybe all the people that are struggling rock and roll musicians are all a bunch of Horatio Algers with Stratocasters, you know. We have to pay some lawyers some money. I want to pay each of least 100.
Can we talk about taking 150 each and maybe?
What do you mean?
Well, we might be able to. The base end of it. I mean, we want major success, and that's what this band has always been about. We've never made any bones about it.
Success and money would obviously bring, to me, more options, and a certain amount of success is needed just to be able to continue. You know, like any artist. I don't want to do this as a hobby.
The question that does arise is, how long are you willing to struggle? How much can you put out before you finally, you know, say, well, I've done it enough, and I just can't do this anymore.
You give up just about everything for the music. and hopefully that satisfaction, you know, is worth it.
I have to ask myself that question too, because you know you're not getting any younger. You don't want to be a 45-year-old person playing the drums in some club somewhere going, hey, boy, well, Capitol's interested and they're going to be looking at us and, wow, we got a real chance this time.
When I started, when I was, you know, 18 and I started out and I wanted to play music, I always wanted to record and have my songs, you know, played by other people and hear them on the radio and all the rest of that.
I don't know that I'll be as much of a success being a singer as I want to be. But I'll find out. I'm going to keep plugging away.
I mean, I do know what it's like to be a star, based on the success of this band currently.
Well, I plan to stay in the music business. There's a lot of things I haven't even begun to do yet. I better hurry up and do them.
Well, I think I have something to say, and I think it's worth hearing, so you fuckers better listen, please.